to have three what I call subject matter experts in three fields who are going to have what we call a panel discussion here, which I hope will also be interactive and will help give you some possibilities of ideas that if you haven't already got ideas that you think you could use for this workshop, will help you think about what ideas might be available. So I'd like to ask Clayton Teixeira to come down, and yes, good, and Alessandro Rizzato, apologies for my pronunciation, and Paulo Camargo. Paulo Camargo, over there, brilliant, good. And we have a moderator for this session in Rodrigo. And I think the way, are you happy? Yeah. Okay. What I was going to suggest is that, oh, I see. Okay, yeah. If you want to have, if you each have a little bit of time, sort of talking about your sector, then we can have a discussion. Yeah. Yeah. Is that okay? So, Alessandro? Yeah. Okay. So if you don't already know, Alessandro is our subject matter expert on Agro-tech, and Paulo is on Edu-tech, sort of technical in education, and Clayton in the health tech side. So we have three areas there which are all very relevant for early stage startup businesses, certainly in the UK and I guess here in Brazil as well. So, okay. And for those of you who have already started companies, can you put your hand up if your company is in any of those three sectors? In Agro-tech, or I'll do them one at a time. Agro-tech, anybody with a business started in Agro-tech? We have one, two. Excellent. And in the health tech side, anything in health? Oh, we have two, a couple in the health tech side. And on the Edu-tech side, education, anybody doing anything? One possibly? Yes? Okay, good. Excellent. So we have some real life examples here to work with as well. Okay.
As we told before, each of you have 20 minutes, and then we will open to questions. Since you have just three persons, there are some persons that unfortunately cannot join us anymore, and so maybe you can use more time, maybe half hour or 25 minutes for each one after we open to questions. Yeah?
So let's see if everything is okay here. Yeah. Well, so first of all, thank you very much to Richard and Rodrigo, Professor Rodrigo, for inviting me to come here. It's really pleasure to me to talk with you because nowadays I work at the private sector, but it's always a pleasure to me come to the academia, or mostly academia, and seeing that even in academia we have this initiative to show you about entrepreneurship. This is really interesting for Brazil. Yeah, so I have 25 minutes, right, around that. Guys, sorry for my poor English. I mean, people say that we talk the Globish. I find this definition very, very, very good because it's what does it mean, Globish? The English, what I learned is the English call it around the world, talked around the world. That means it's not 100% of the English from the US or the Great Britain, but it's around 80% of the language. So if you don't understand what I'm trying to speak you, just raise your hand and stop me. Yeah. Well, I work in a Solvay, in a multinational chemical company called Solvay. It's a Belgian chemical company, multi-sector, let's say. I'm going to show you a couple of slides that regarding our group. I'm going to show you a couple of slides too regarding the sustainability at our company. Then a couple of slides showing some idea regarding agro developments. Okay. A couple of words about me. So I'm chemistry, bachelor in chemistry. I did my PhD 15 years ago. Yeah, I remember that in 2002, I went to ICTP. Yeah, in Trieste, studying the synchrotron radiation course. From Brazil, I remember that Professor Aldo Kraevich, it's a physicist, well known in ICTP, I suppose. So it's a pleasure to me being invited to be here also. Remember that I was at ICTP, it was a school very important to my development. Yeah, now I'm external affairs. Let's say I make the let's say the bridge between our research center and academia. So my job is try to find into the academia or universities or research centers what kind of technology we can bring to our let's say to our innovation process. Yeah. Then when we have such a kind of initiative, that the second cap of my job is to find the funding for such a kind of initiative, because the budget of the company, it's made 1 year early. So when you find another opportunity, normally you don't have budget for that. So yeah, here in Brazil we have a lot of innovation, let's say funding agents like FINEP, like BNDES, or in São Paulo State you have FAPESP, which is very good. So we can find money there in order to reduce risks. Then you can dip into such a kind of opportunities. Yeah, I'm married, I have a daughter, yeah. I love to swim and play guitar, yeah. It's okay. Oh, okay, I'm gonna show you. Well, what about Solvay? Solvay, a multinational company. Multi-speciality, I mean. If I can say, we produce a lot of different products. So around 30,000 employees, around 61 countries, 135 industrial sites, 21 major research centers. One here is in Paulínia, where I work. A company with sales 10 billion euros per year. Yeah, and we have a lot of indicators regarding sustainability, which are inside of the company strategy. Well, that's the spread around the world. So we have presence in North America, Europe, Asia, and Latin America, which is the smallest one. Well, how many? I still have 10 minutes, right? So we're going to show you some indicators. So making chemistry does not mean that you have or you produce, let's say, consuming too much, or I mean, expenses of the planet. You can produce chemical products, but without bringing to the planet something which is not good. So in order to avoid such a kind of development, we set up some indicators regarding social actions in order to contribute to society. we set up a very ambitious target regarding the sustainable portfolio management, which means that in 2025, for each $2 from the revenue of the company, one must come from sustainable solution. That means 50% of the sales must come from the sustainable solution. Well, we create sustainable value, asking more for chemistry, right? Well, that's the spreadsheet regarding our operating segments. Mostly nowadays are composite materials to reduce, oh, it's swarming, sorry guys. As I told you, so around a quarter of the sales goes to the automotive and aerospatial markets. Then consumer care and healthcare goods, around 20%. So, and then industrial applications such as cleaning solutions or lubricating and what else. Regarding the agro, what I would talk in a couple of slides to you, it's around 10% of the company income. Well, I still have some minutes. I'm going to show you some examples of our products and applications that you can see in the market, and a lot of application in agro, right? Well, okay. This corporate presentation, there is a lot of slides, and some of them are too much business, you know, which I'm not want to be focused on. Well, this is one picture I would share with you. So this makes me passionate about the company, because a century ago, the company owner looked at the academia and asked them to discuss future application of the technology, or of the works, the theoretical works they were developing in academia. So here you can see Einstein, this little guy here. And this is the company owner, called Ernest Solvay. So there is a lot of another brilliant person in this picture. And in this time, the company owner already thought that it would be great to have brilliant people to share. In this conference, they discuss the theoretical about the quantum dots, which nowadays is the base of our smartphones, right? So it's very interesting, yeah. Well, this is the second one. And now, let me show you Einstein here. A little bit older, right? So this was the Solvay conference of chemistry. And the interesting thing regarding this picture is this guy called Auguste Piccard. Auguste Piccard, he developed the first balloon who reached the stratosphere. So can you imagine in this time to have an idea to build a balloon which will, join the stratosphere? Why? But it was his entrepreneur mind. Yeah? Well, a couple of things regarding Solvay. I still have 5 minutes, right? So the very interesting thing here regarding entrepreneurship is in this time when Solvay scientists invent this plastic bottle. They developed it at the research center level, right? Then when they arrive, let's say, at the MVP, minimum valuable product, the scientist, the chief scientist, come to the board and show this bottle. And as soon as he entered into the board meeting, he goes directly to the CEO and threw it like this. And the CEO makes, oh, Jesus. And all of the people within the board, they were scared. Oh man, what do you do? And when the CEO took the bottle, he told, what did you develop it? It was a plastic bottle in order to replace the glass one. And the CEO had the idea, this is something which is very interesting for the customer, reducing weight of the things and bringing a solution lighter than they have at the time. It was, very interesting. And the last one, it was this solar impulse. I suppose some of you already heard about this development, which was a airplane which makes turn around the world without a drop of fuel. I mean, fossil fuel. The turn around the world was just using solar energy. So for us, this project was a way to demonstrate a lot of technologies that, it's kind of far from the commercial state, still far from the commercial state, right? Professor Rodrigo, still have 1 minute, right? 5 minutes, okay. So regarding our research and innovation team, we are around 2,000, more than 2,000 people, and it's around 1 patent per day, let's say, per year, I mean. Some effort in research and innovation. And we have within our research and innovation area a corporate venture team which is dedicated to see if, let's say, they have 2 strategies. One is looking for startups or early stage companies in order to invest and then wait the maturity stage, then getting back some money, or invest in order to bring them into our innovation process. Okay, so 2 strategies regarding, let's say, entrepreneurship within the company. Well, this is something very interesting I would show you. We are now developing an engine only using polymers. In this engine, you will not find metals. And I saw the MVP running, and it's very interesting, right? It's named Polymotor. The project itself, it's called Polymotor. Yeah. So, we always recognize the academias. So we have a prize until now. Each 3 years we have this prize. So the last one what was in 2015, and then the winner at the time was the chemistry, the Nobel Prize of Chemistry for the 16 for the next year. So we preview the Nobel Prize in our company. Well, I still have 1 minute, so I'm gonna run. Regarding sustainability, I do not have time to show you what it's something. But regarding agro. Well, okay. So agro, it's the agro portfolio, let's say, is commercialized, let's say, by one global business unit called Novecare. So this global business unit, it's 30%, around 30% dedicated to oil and gas market. And regarding the agro, it's around 13% of this sold products to the agro markets. And what about the operating segments regarding the agro markets? So we manufacture specialty surfactants, herbicides, green solvents, adjuvants, fertilizer protections, let's say, and seed treatment boosters, let's say. And I'm going to show you a couple of slides regarding seed treatment. So the way we see a plant, it's like this. So we develop products in order that the drop really, stay into the leaf. We have products in order to try to manage the water life cycle. We develop fertilizer protection. We really understand what the customer needs. What about their needs? Then we come back to our labs and we develop tailor-made solutions for such a kind of clients. And what is very interesting in Brazil is the seed treatment germination developments, which I'm going to show you an schematic view just to show you. We try to develop a coating that covers the seeds, and this coating manage better the water around the seed. That means that the germination increases a lot when you treat the seed with this sustainable coating. And the results you can see here, without treatment and with treatment. So you can see this is a picture of this green point. It's a new plant, let's say. So, well, hope you are not boring. And thank you very much, Richard, and sorry for past 5 minutes from. If you have a question.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. Who would like to go next? We'll take questions. If you can make a note of your questions, and once we've had the other two presentations, we'll do all the questions together as a panel. Okay, so who's on next? Yeah.
The one guy there.
Oh no, we'll do questions at the end.
Hi everyone. My name is Clayton. Thank you both for the invitation. Thank you very much indeed. I am in the business of healthcare for over 20 years. My focus is orthopedic implants, but I'm not talking about orthopedic implants today. Maybe if you guys have questions later, we can talk about that. But orthopedic implants are expensive, takes time, and time makes it more expensive. Regulatory, it's a nightmare. And what I think you guys need from me today, it's about the simple ideas. Earlier was thinking about where the ideas come from. And the ideas, sometimes they comes from your needs. Sometimes you need something. You need something for your kid, you need something for your dog, you need something for your neighbor, you need something for your father or for yourself. Sometimes, most of the time it's not for yourself, it's for someone you love. Then you think more about that. Because most of the time we don't care much about us. Then I brought here two products. If any of you know about those products, please don't talk about them. Can you guess what is this product for? If you want to touch it, if you can see it, and this other product here you can read, so it's not a secret. It's a repellent. So I'll start talking about this repellent here. There was a guy in Nigeria when he was a kid, and they had a problem that we face as well, because we live in a tropical country. We face the problem of mosquitoes, right? We have mosquitoes everywhere, all the time. We have over 50 mosquitoes living in our house together with us. Some of them are dangerous, most of them are not, harmless, okay? So this guy, he was a child in Nigeria with mosquitoes, and his family suffering because of the mosquitoes. Then he started checking on what he was available for him, natural products, okay? And he started mixing those products, listening to his grandmother, his mother, father, and all his families. This repels, this doesn't repel, and he mixed everything. It worked for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but he thought he could go further. He could make it better. So when he thought about the school, going to school, he always had in mind he had to study something that could lead him to have a better product. Of course, he's a chemist today, yeah. I'm not. I do business. I study international relations. I study business. And I look for this kind of people, this kind of product, you know, to bring here, to export somewhere. And it's always nice to have a nice idea and have the heart of the person behind it. Because it's not about only a product, it's about his life. It's about how he sees the world. Then this guy went to the college and started studying how to develop a good repellent. Well, and he did. This repellent takes 16 hours, more than 16 hours, to stop its effect in the skin. You can use it in a child over 2 months. Or if it's more than 2 months old, you can use it. If you're pregnant, you can use it. If it's hypoallergenic, so it's better. Almost everyone can use this repellent. And his idea was, how can I make it last? How can I use nice products, natural-based products here and not spend a lot of money to create that? So he started studying natural-based products to use with it. Today you can, I'm sorry for that, but you can use plastic to encapsulate it, and it works, but doesn't work as good as this one. It will last about 8 hours, but you cannot encapsulate the IR3535. That's the repellent that makes it works. That's harmless for kids over 2 months. And he put together mushroom and another natural plant there and encapsulate it with mushrooms. So this is mushroom encapsulation, basically. So, of course, he had an issue, where to get the funds. So he went to United States to get the funds there. Because that's something you guys should worry about. Most of the people worry about the taxes they must pay when they sell a product and they invent a product. But they should worry how much I'm going to pay for the money. And here in our country, unfortunately, you pay a lot for the money. Taxes it's a problem everywhere. But the cost of the money to put your product together, to sell it, to distribute it, it's a nightmare here. So you guys should really think about how much I'm going to pay the money for the products. Well, he went to the United States and he put the repellent together. I ask you please to put in your skin, and if you guys think it really feels like a repellent, I'm going to leave because it doesn't. Okay, try it. It really lasts for 16 hours and more, because the test today we have available, it's only for 16 hours. But their test that's not a certified test, it lasts over 20 hours. My daughter is using it, and she likes it very much. And where is my bee? Oh, my bee. Do you guys, what do you think this bee is about? Massage? Pain-free? Okay, pain-free massage? Pain relief. Okay, why do you guys think that's a pain reliever or a massage? What kind of pain? What kind of pain do you do? It's a very simple product. Pain-free, okay. It's good. It's the same issue of the repellent. There was a doctor called Dr. Baxter. She had a child, and the child was very, very afraid of needle, scared to death. And 25% of North Americans, and North Americans I mean Mexico above, okay, are afraid of needles. Probably the same here in Brazil. And I'm talking about adult, not only a child. So this pediatric doctor, she thought about her son, a daughter, and she was very afraid of needles. She had to come up with a solution. And then she spent time studying pain, how the pain works in our body. How does it go through our body? And then she understood that a simple idea could stop the pain from the needles, could stop the pain from any kind of injection, to take blood, anything. And what she did, she understood that the pain goes through our body through fibers. There are 2 layers of fibers. One that you guys are familiar with, that when you burn your hand, what the first thing you do, if you are smart, you put your hand in the water. Why the pain stops? It stops because your brain feels the cold of the water and forget about the pain. So it's a trick. So your brain just understands the the cold of the water. That's why we have a gel bag there that you put in the freezer. It's going to be cold. The second fiber group, it's deeper. And so with the vibration of this product, vibrates in a certain frequency, it also stops the pain to cross to the brain. So with a code and vibration, it's very simple product. She developed a product that everyone could use with the kids. Then she realized it was also good for the adults because most of the adults are afraid of needle. She didn't spend much because we're talking about a product that vibrates, needs an engine, a small one. It's risk 1. In health products, risk means a lot because if you are talking about risk 1 and 2, you're going to go to the market very fast. If you're talking about risk 3 and 4, then you take 6, 7, 8 years to go to the market. So time is really money because you have to survive for 6, 7, 8 years before you invoice the first product. So maybe some countries it's less. I'm talking about our reality here. And most of the country that has industries. But if you talk about Chile or Bolivia or other countries that they don't have heavy industries, that don't protect its market, so we talk about months. But here in Brazil, we're talking about 3, 4 years to invoice the first product and another 2 or 3 years to develop it into the market. So it's really a nightmare. So it's important for you guys to think about how simple your product is, and if it's going to solve the problem of someone, of a lot of people. And this product won the Shark Tank in US years ago. And she didn't take the money from the investor because she wanted to go organic. So, and she's doing fine. She's exporting, she's selling over 5,000 places within the United States. In Brazil, it's doing well as well, and it didn't take much time for her to develop the product, and to get into the market was very fast. So you think about that, and it's a simple idea. The repellent, it's also a simple idea, but maybe you need more people to help you, you know. And but with this brilliant idea of the repellent, you're going to find people to help you with that. And that's the message I'd like to take you guys about what products you should have in mind when you talk about health products. If you're going to go risk 3 and 4, of course we can talk about that. Of course we can go over and see what the problems are. But when you talk about implants, orthopedic implants, or maybe any other kind of implants, you need to prove this product is riskless. You need to prove that you know how to manufacture it properly. And someone will going to be inside your manufacturing plant checking if you're doing it right. So it's important to have it in mind, how long my product to be in the market, how much it's going to cost to be in the market, and what if I'm really solving someone's problem. And I'll give a last example how it works, about simple ideas. There is another mother that she thought about her kid problem. She always, the kid was always having some nausea in the morning, or riding any kind of a bike or inside the car. It was really a problem. He couldn't take her kid out. And she also started studying it. It didn't take much. She understood that in the Chinese medicine, she could find an answer for her. And she understood that if you press 3 fingers and you make a pressure here in both sides, your nausea goes away. And she created a product that keeps it pressing all the time for 48 hours. It was for her kid. Now it's a product cost $5 in the United States, about 20 reais. Here it comes about 100 reais due to all the Brazilian costs. And today this product is largely being used in oncology, because after the guy goes through chemotherapy, there's a lot of nausea, a lot of issues. So it cuts its nausea. So the patient feels much better. And also was a simple idea. And she was targeting the kids that could not get into a car, or could not ride a bike, or, I don't know, couldn't go into a 3D Max cinema. Simple thing. And she could find a product that solved an oncology issue to feel the patient feels better. So when you think about a product, you also must understand all the markets you could reach. Don't think that's an impossible market. Don't think it's, don't put limits to your product. Let the market do that. Don't do it yourself. The market will put the limits to your product, not you. Okay? And always listen to what the market wants, not what you want. Okay? It's always important. Thank you.
Thank you. And Paulo is now going to give us 25 minutes or so on Edu-tech, or within that. And then after that, remember, keep a note of your questions, because we're going to have questions for our presenters after this presentation. Okay. You okay? Do you need particular cables, mains, or? Okay. Is that the right one? Where's Clayson's B? Who's got the B? Okay, working its way around. Good. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I guess I'm good to go. Thanks for the invitation, Rodrigo and Richard and Luciano. It's a pleasure being here, sharing with you our journey with SmartWise. I also thank you for your attention during the next 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm really gonna share with you some of my experience and my co-founder's experience and story with SmartWise, which is now mainly a EdTech startup. Won't work.
Ele não está saindo aqui. Esse computador é o que estava aqui, o seu?
Não, esse é o meu. Sempre funciona.
Se fosse smart, então eu não tinha.
Deixar ele morrer.
Tem, não tem greve, se precisar.
Nossa.
Tem coisa, né? Eu acho que isso nunca aconteceu com ela.
Eu acho que foi isso aqui que deu um pau aqui, que ele estava tentando instalar aqui depois. Né?
Cadê o Buzz?
Tem que ter energia aqui para...
Mas como é que funciona? A pessoa toma a injeção e você põe? Ou durante a injeção?
Não, você vai colocar uma injeção aqui.
I'm going to introduce Ragu, Korea Ragu. He's just flown in from Bangkok and Washington and been traveling for about the last 2 days. So, and you'll be hearing from Ragu later.
Great.
Sorry for
Okay?
that.
It's okay?
It's fixed. It's supposed to be
Technology.
fixed. It's supposed to be fixed.
Okay. We know that.
Technology. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Absolutely right. So the B isn't a Solvay product.
No, no.
It's but I love that. I love the idea. Yeah.
No, the idea is simple and
Yeah.
it works.
And the
Maybe the plastic probably it's from...
and the insecticide is that's natural.
Natural based.
Pyrethrin, or do you know what's in it?
It's a IR3535. It's
Right.
a product from Merck.
Okay.
Okay. You can use in a child over 2 months,
Right.
years old, pregnant.
So it's licensed by the FDA for
Yes.
over-the-counter
Yeah.
sales, the general sales licenses in the US.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
And is the original inventor in Nigeria?
In Nigeria.
Is he getting royalties? Is he licensed? Or
Yes,
is
in
good
US.
question.
Everything in US.
Okay, so he's now living in the US.
Yes, in close to Atlanta.
Okay.
But they make it in Naples,
Okay.
Florida.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting products.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
There's lots of natural insecticides that people try to market, and usually the problem is the cost of extracting the essential oil from the original medicinal plant. So so unless you can synthesize, I guess they're synthesizing this. Okay, sorry.
Okay, sorry for that. So once beginning your startup, and we still think SmartOS is a startup, it's very important to you to set your purpose, your mission, your vision. And as educators and parents, this is the mission we set for our startup SmartOS. Our dream was to really promote learning and cognitive development through playful ed-tech technologies. So this is what we've been doing. This is our mantra. We'd like to say it is Imagineering, fun, play, and learning. And from this more scientific perspective, this is what we set as our technologies and asked what would these emerging technologies do for the toys themselves? How could these technologies be applied to the toy market in a first moment? And we've raised and already spent more than 1,200,000 reais trying to answer these questions. So it's still very interesting to think about it and work on it. So, come on. Yeah. So when we began to work on it, we stared at this situation that is pretty common and you surely know. These are our traditional classical physical toys that children still are stimulated to play with. And these, on the other hand, are digital experiences brought to the same children by games, apps, videos, and so on and so forth. So our other question was, what could we do to bring some of this engaging experience that we all have in our digital life and bring all these amazing features to the physical toys that are still essential to the children's cognitive development, psychomotor development. We, from the very first moment, we decided that we were not planning to stop using physical toys. On the contrary, we were meant to, turn them into something more engaging, more appealing to the children themselves. So this is the scenario we set to work on this, on that previous questions that I mentioned to you. And we also decided that we were supposed not only to innovate in what we're doing, but also in how and with whom we were doing. So we really set the strategy of implementing a Smart Toys Living Lab, as we called it, and we really invited children, their parents, their families, experts in psychology, teaching, creativity, cognitive development, to play with us, to design with us the future of the toys, or the toys of future. And sorry for that, we didn't plan for it, of course. And we took this decision based on an assumption that who are we, merely adults, to dictate how and with what children were supposed to play and learn. So this is what we defined as our design thinking strategy and our co-creation strategy. And these are some of the results we gathered with this work that we carried out from 2015 to 2017. We immersed ourselves in children's environments, being the school, their houses, at the pediatrician, at the hospital, playing in a shopping center, also while learning in formal or informal environments, and mainly at the toys store, which was for us a very important ground to learn about the children, and especially to learn about the families, the children's family. And from all this work, we were lucky enough to gather 73 ideas of new modern toys, physical toys enabled by emerging technologies, and we decided to work on some of them. So this is the kind of workshops we were doing. Like I said, we really worked with the children and the teenagers, but we also worked with their parents. We also work with experts in teaching, experts in electronics, experts in software, really trying to understand what would the value of a smart connected toy be. And you're going to see some of these results as well. From the technology perspective, this is what I can say that we conceived, designed, engineered, assembled later, and we have today. We call it a Smart Toys IO Toys platform, which is basically comprised of a set of softwares integrated to a set of modularized, customizable hardware components that together express digital content, that together express online content, with the aim of, at first, turn the physical toy more engaging, more appealing, more attractive to the children while playing and learning. And also enabling that the toy evolves with the children as he or she grows. So this is what we intended to accomplish with this platform. We also asked ourselves what would the value of a smart connected toy be, and we were once again lucky enough to understand that many of our assumptions turned out true. Well, one of the main outcomes, learnings that we had there is that everybody is really understanding that modern toys can really enable children to really play and have meaningful experiences from the educational perspective with that toys. So this is what we decided to focus on in this project. And we, of course, decided to prototype some of our ideas with the children. So this is what we call smart connected puppets, Pimp, the modern Homer, and Meg, the wise owl, which would express digital content via the puppet and not via a screen. So allowing a more integrated experience in the interface of the digital and real worlds. And these were the MVPs, the first MVPs that we made. This is interesting. I wanted to show you what we envisioned, but also what we had very early on during our customer discovery process. So we're here for a week trying to establish new projects, new startups, new research lines, and this is the challenge for this week, of course. How can you end this week with a sort of prototype, a sort of business model, business planning to achieve your goals? This is another project we developed. This is a connected treasure hunt. I'm sure here everybody played of treasure hunt when you were a child. I can guarantee you that if you ask a kid nowadays if she or he knows what is a treasure hunt, you're going to be in trouble. And this demand came not only from the children that heard about it, but especially from their grandparents who wanted to play with them with plays that they used to play when they were a child. So that was very interesting to us. And this is once again our prototype using Bluetooth Low Energy, a cell phone, and we validated again not only the prototype, the physical toy or the play, but the playful educational experience we had with this. It's interesting to remember that this work we were doing with this prototype happened at the same time that Pokemon Go went alive, was launched. So it's pretty similar. And with our learnings with the Pokemon Go launch to market and what they are now, we interrupted this project as well. When it comes to educational technologies, this is also the scenario we set. We saw traditional education is still being represented by that heavy books, loads of books that the student still has to study, has to bring to school, and digital ed tech, a more appealing, a more attractive, a more digital experience in education. And so we decided to once again ask ourselves, what would be the experience we wanted to bring to the children when learning, both in formal and in informal environments. And smart toys then became smart makers. We changed purposefully our focus from turning the toy smarter and then turning the children smarter. And that made, of course, all the difference from what we were developing. These are today all the gadgets that our technology is integrated with. They are all smart connected toys that were born back in 2012, 2013, 2014, with the aim of the main aim of being a toy, and all of them decided that the main goal that they would have to achieve is to bring to the children a more educational goal. So just like we were thinking about it, they were also thinking about it, and it made sense to us not only having our head gadget, these smart cars here, but also integrating with other common in the market gadgets. And this picture here shows exactly that. The gadgets are smarter, the gadgets are cool, the gadgets are digital as well, but our main focus is on this little girl here, turning her smarter with these toys. So today is just for you to know, Smart Makers is an online community for lifelong active learners. This is how we call it. We base our learning experiences with the children on gamification and peer collaboration. It is project-based learning, or as we like to call it with the children, mission-based learning, which they really love it. And it is aimed at developing the skills of the professionals of the future and the citizens of the future. Namely, of course, perseverance, collaboration, communication, creativity, computational thinking is one of them. It is very important, but it's just one of them. And we work on it very hard, of course. And it is very interesting to me to have this opportunity here in October 2018 to tell you about our story with Smart Toys, because we were recently acquired by our main customer, which is ViaMaker. And ViaMaker was, from their very first moment of life, mainly focused on education, and we weren't. They were our clients from their very first moment. And we worked together, developing their platform as part of our platform. And with them, we can now position ourselves in the market, operating under the name ViaMaker, as a more comprehensive educational experience to the children. And this is because we were mainly focused on, in a first moment, the technology, and in a second moment, the children, the students. And they were, from their first moment on, mainly focused on the learning material, the learning methodology that they were developing to make sense of all this technology that we had. So this is really a perfect fit for us to work together. So with them, we are now able to work on other technologies that we intended to do back there back then in 2014 and 15, and so far we weren't able to work on it, like virtual reality, augmented reality, turning it into something, into a more appealing experience, once again, to the student when learning, when reading about the content that he or she is learning during the class. Take this picture and compare it to that traditional education system, traditional books that I showed to you. Think that in 95% of the time at school, children are still reading that boring books. And in 5% of their time at school, they are reading in a digital book using something that she or he is still just used to play with at home on their father's or mother's cell phone. And we're bringing it to the classroom as a way of engaging him or her in what we are doing together. So this is kind of what we deliver. It is today mainly based in Lago robotics. Kids, children, families and schools love it because it's pretty known worldwide, so it makes sense to work with them. They have their first experience with the blocks themselves. They build what they are meant to build, and then they learn how to build it with augmented reality. And then at the end of this experience, they code it and they make the magic happen with what they've done during a class of 1 to 2 hours. I'd like to show you how engaging and different this learning experience is actually to the children. And one thing we do once a year in Sorocaba, we are from Sorocaba, in the countryside of state of São Paulo. We do a robotics festival for our schools, our client schools, and our students. By the way, we do have today more than 80,000 students using our platform, and we have as clients more than 160 schools, mainly, of course, and unfortunately, private schools in Brazil. And I'd like to show you a short video about this learning experience that they have in an informal educational moment during these festivals. Just a second. Vamos ver, ela falou para fazer. Let's try it. Didn't work. In our learning methodology, this is gamified, contextualized learning that make them be engaged along the whole year, practicing and being ready to this festival that takes that lasts 1 weekend late August. So this is the kind of experience that we can bring to them in a weekend. Just for you to know, we, like I told you, we have today in our platform 80,000 students using it, and during this weekend we achieve at least 2,000 of them, more than 20% of them are with us during this weekend, and are our ambassadors when they get back to their cities, their schools, and work on it along the year. So just to get to the end of my presentation, I'd like to leave you to work with this weekend, along this week, with two messages that are very important for us at Smart Toys and now Via Maker, when working with education, when compromising ourselves with working with education. The first one is this. For us, education is by nature future-oriented. So if you're thinking short-term, if you're planning short-term, if you're building a business or you're building your technology, thinking short-term, you're already behind the curve. You are really instrumenting the future adults. So it's about them being adults that you must think of, and not us as adults. And the other one is that back in the 80s, and I know all of you heard this music, Cyndi Lauper used it to sing that girls just want to have fun. And I can guarantee you that Cyndi Lauper is outdated today. Today, girls and boys want way more than have fun. They want to have fun, learn, play, listen to music, talk, take selfies, read, share, exercise, build something all together and all at the same time. So if you're really considering the possibility of delivering value to these guys here, you really have to think like them. You really have to invite them to be part of the construction of your solution. And this is what we are constantly trying to do at Smart Toys and Via Maker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paulo. Could I ask that the three presenters come and take chairs at the front here, and then we'll have some questions now from participants. So Rodrigo and I will go up with these microphones. Oh, wait a minute, no, I need to leave a microphone here. So put your hand up if you have the first question. Yes, we have a question at the back. Oh, no, sorry, we have a question there as well. Okay.
Hi.
So if you say who, if it's to an individual or to all of the panel.
Okay. Well, my name is Rafael, and I have a question for Alessandro. In your slides, you thought about a GSB, and I would like to know what GSB stands for.
Generation Seed Booster.
Generation Seed Booster, okay.
Yeah.
And my next and last question is for Alexandre. I would like to know if you have a product and you launch it into the market and the product is not accepted. Whose fault is this? Is for the people that don't understand your product, or your product is too, or you didn't convince people about the functionality of your product?
It's for me?
Alexandre.
Alessandro.
Alexandre. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's a very interesting question. Whose fault is this? Sometimes you don't communicate well. You don't show people why they need this product. Let's talk about the example we have here. Why do you need to pain free your kid from the needle? 10 years ago, it was not a need. Nobody cared about that. But now, if you look around, everyone's talking about pain, how to reduce pain. And more people knows today that if you take, let's say, in my old time, Cibalena for a long time, there is after 5 years, 6 years, Cibalena is useless. It doesn't reduce your pain anymore. So more and more people are trying to find different ways to reduce the pain. So getting back to your question, whose fault is it? It's sometimes how you communicate that, how you show the people that they need your product. Sometimes the fault is not in the product itself. Sometimes, I give another example. The same product has a different different one called VibraCool. It reduces the chronic pain from your knee, from your tennis elbow. It really works, but it doesn't sell. Why it doesn't sell? Whose fault is this? The product is good, it works. But people, they have other ways and other visions or other kind of experience that makes the pain go away as well. So in my point of view, most of the time if you have a good product, if it works, the people need it, is because you are not showing them in the right way they need it, basically. You know, the channels you're choosing is not working. Taking a little bit of the time to answer a little bit better today. If you market these products in the Facebook, it's not going to sell. But if you market them in the Instagram, it's going to sell a lot. Why? Because the people you're trying to reach, trying to communicate, it's in this Instagram. It's not in the Facebook. Facebook, they're thinking about something else. They're not thinking about pay attention on what they see in the screen very much. No, if you go to LinkedIn, forget it. So Instagram is the product.
Thank you. My first question is for Alexandro. So you already told us that you have some experience in Agro-tech, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that you have a company, and a company that you just found recently, and now you have some ideas, and you want to bring research into your company. How do you raise the funding? How do you get the money when you are just an entrepreneur, and it's really hard to do research by yourself because you don't have the facilities and the money and all this kind of stuff?
Well, very good questions. The way I see is nowadays here in Brazil you have different funding lines and different funding agencies that you can go there and they can show you special programs to burning companies or, you know, startups. And yeah, this is one way I see that you can, like an entrepreneur, try to, you know, try to find a way. Another way is here we have some national associations, like for example ANPEI, that is based here in São Paulo. So ANPEI is a place that different companies, different stages, different segment companies go there in order to discuss and try to find opportunities to innovate. So there, like in this association, you can meet different people with different experience and maybe looking for the same thing that you are looking for. So this is such a kind of environment that you can go and you can come back with some value created when you discussed with them, because you learn about things that you probably not must do in order to avoid going to a trap, and things that avoid you to reach people who is not that good like you need, but they show you some tools, place, and people who are looking for the same thing that you are looking for. Yeah. So the way I see is go such a kind of initiative that you can bring to your ideas, then speed up some of them. Okay. Okay. It's okay.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I have one more.
Yeah.
That's for actually two. But what about when you are from a country where you don't have the same facilities like here in Brazil? I'm from Colombia, and when I came here, I have seen a lot of technology applied to agriculture, and that's fantastic. And in Colombia, you don't find the same. So how do you raise all this staff that can help you to reach all that goals? So you have to go outside and find help outside?
Good question. Maybe if you step back and try to find the most probably segment that you want to act, then you can map some, let's say, ecosystem actors. Then maybe having such a kind of map, let's say, maybe you can choose some forums or some workshops in order to go there and show your technology or your company or maybe your idea. Maybe it's harder to me to say exactly for you, because I'm always looking for opportunities in Brazil. I'm not sure if you have the same funding lines or opportunities for Latin America, or I suppose to, you know.
Okay. So, and the last one is for Alexandro. You told us that the history of the product, Alexandro. Yeah, Alexander's, excuse me.
Clayton.
Clayton. Why we have here in the shade, Alexandro? Okay, that was a mistake. Okay.
Alexandro is okay.
Okay, excuse me. Sorry. So you told us a little bit of the history behind those products that you were trying to sell us, let's say. Do you think that it's always a good idea to communicate the history that is behind every product? I think that this strategy on marketing is called storytelling. And do you think that is good? And what about when you have a product that you launch in the market and this product is more expensive than the others? Do you think that you can overcome all these problems using some strategies like storytelling and all these kind of things?
I think the history behind the product is always important, mainly when we talk about, startups, because our startups normally there's a history behind it. So it's always important. People want to listen to your stories and about why you came up with the idea. Price is something that don't take me wrong. Price is not important, depending on what you have in hand, because it depends on the amount of time you spend and depending where you want to sell it. Today, just getting back to his questions and also answer your questions, if I had a friend that's a cartographic engineer, I would stick to it. UNESP, Presidente Prudente, I think they have a very good course there, for cartographic engineers. Those guys, they can tell where the person that wants to buy your product is located, how much it makes per year, how much his community makes per year, and how many people lives there, and what the problem of those people are. And it's a kind of engineer nobody talks about. But if I had a friend that's studies this kind of thing, I would stick to this guy to be my partner, because he knows how to do that. I don't know if I'm clear on that, but it's all I'm trying to say, you need to have the right tool to find the right customers, the people that want your product. It doesn't, and you have to also have a little bit lucky, also have a little bit of good sense to understand it, okay? Is it clear for you? Yeah? And this kind of technology you can apply in Colombia, wherever, okay? It's there. It's satellite. So.
Question? Where? Where?
Paulo, né? Paulo, I've been working in university with robotics to try to give to the newbie students at the university some sort of inspiration, motivation, so that they don't drop out of the course. That is very common in electrical engineer. The students drop out. 40 students come in and 10 come out. Okay? One question is, I am unable to evaluate the result of the job that I've made. I have I'm trying to find some background, theoretical background to support my analysis, so that I can publish something about this experience. I'd like to ask you some tips about it, because you told me that you make an evaluation of your products in the children, the young children, and I would like to say which criteria you apply in this sort of evaluation.
What's your name?
Marcelo.
Okay, Marcelo, and do you do this in private universities or public universities?
Public university.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I had submit a project in institution. They don't give me money, but they give me a grant for the students to help me. Okay. I say bolsa, né? They give a grant for 6 months for the student to support me. And it was interesting because these students likes a lot robotics. And he embraced this almost alone. I just give support. If he needs a room, if he needs equipment, I give support. He embraced it. And it's funny because he's selling items. He's an entrepreneur that he buys things in China and is selling in university. He enjoyed it because the more clients.
Yeah. First of all, I have to tell you that what you're doing in public universities is even more meaningful in private universities. I'm sure you've been taking a look at this. Students in private universities doing engineering and other courses, and the I'd say drop-off rate is even bigger in private universities. So we've been considering working with private universities and building something for them with this goal of keeping the students engaged and interested in their courses. But I have to say that we didn't actually implement it yet. And this is because our main focus today is in elementary school, which is our star product. Once again, this is the 1 million question. The speech of my partner on that video was cut off, but I can tell you that our main goal teaching robotics and coding at schools is not incentivizing them to be engineers or any other profession that they want to be. We are really committed to their learning curve, to their learning development along the school phase. That being said, I'm still concerned about what we and the schools are delivering to the students. Assessment methods for that are still being studied and not being yet implemented. So I don't feel comfortable for you telling you that you should use this assessment method because you know they don't exist yet. But I can tell you that once we are concerned with it, we are monitoring our students' outcomes in terms of engagement, in terms of willingness to still be with us in our platform. Both the students and the teachers, they have ways of providing feedbacks about the class, about the lesson, about the teacher when it comes to the student, about each of the students when it comes to the teacher. And we are today working on dashboards to have all this data to be analyzed. As you know, one pretty important and emerging trend in the educational system today is education personalization. And as big data, there's lots of things being said, but few being done. What we're trying to do is, once again, turn all this data accessible to the teachers, to the school directors, and enable them to start analyzing this data, assessing this data with us. And by doing that along the next years, I must tell you, I can maybe come back here and tell you that use this assessment method or that to achieve your goals. So I'd love to discuss this with you later on, and we would have lots of things to work on this together, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
Another question? Yes.
Thank you. Where?
Hello, thank you all for coming here and excellent talks from all you guys. My first question is for Alessandro. I'd like to, it's a personal question, but I'd like to know if Solvay have some interest in nanotechnology. And yes, Solvay have some interest in nanotechnology, more specifically in microbiology nanotechnology against microbes.
Yeah. Nanotechnology for us until 2011 was a pillar of the research and innovation team. But when Solvay acquired Rhodia, so they got almost double the size of the company. So for Solvay, it was nanotechnology it was always kind of scary about HSE, in health, safety, and environment. So the question always was regarding to where the nanoparticle goes through when you use it on you or in you. So that's always a question. But nowadays, the way we are looking for nanotechnology is as a, let's say, a neighbor technologies. So in order to produce our products, for example, some catalysts in nanotechnology way, they are much more performer than the micro size, form. So nanotechnology for us is always enabler technologies for producing bioproducts, for example. So, but regarding biotechnology for us is, let's say, some core technologies. Nowadays we have a laboratory in our research center in Paulínia, which is the center where biotechnology is developed to the group. So as Brazil has a natural strength in biomass or in bioprocess, so we demonstrate to the group that we have this competence here. So the idea, the strategy of the group was to develop biotechnology in Brazil to the group around the world.
Okay, I just want to talk with you later. Just one more question. For Paulo, there's a big hype on this maker thing nowadays, and as we were talking, it's difficult to evaluate if it's a good thing, if it's the kids are learning or just the professor are having fun teaching the kids. I think that's more what we see here. The teacher gets joyful teaching the kids, but it's hard to know if the kids learning something. One thing I think you already told us, but the other thing is just if you have plans to go outside the engineering. I know use this kind of thing to teach biology, to teach chemistry, to teach physics and science in general.
Very good question. What's your name? Luis. Very good question, Luis. This is one huge concern of ours today. And to be honest with you, we don't really, our offering to the schools doesn't really fit the school profile of the maker. There are other offers in the market that are really focused on building a maker lab at school. We don't do that. And we don't do that because the number of schools trying to understand this market, the number of schools that really have this profile is, well, restricted in this market. At the same time, as you said, including STEM disciplines in the curriculum is a trend. It came to stay. And it also doesn't attend all the schools, which also may have another profile, which is a more social, emotional, cultural profile. And this market segment is still a blue ocean. We're working on it, trying to develop and offer to them contents that are aligned to their profile. And I'd say this is for us very strategic because we are going to offer it for them aligned, integrated, and not one more solution about another thing. And this is what the director of the school receives every day. See, this is interesting, you have to integrate it to your extracurricular program, for example. So if you take a look at how bilingual schools work today, these are the two main strategies that they apply. Or they integrate it into their main curriculum and offer it as a single offering to the student, to the parents. Either they offer it in a complementary curriculum and you have to pay extra to do it, right? So we are always navigating between these two realities. Working with STEM disciplines, working with social, emotional, cultural content, or any other content that these schools want to apply to their curriculum. So this is part of our strategy.
Thank you. My question is for Paulo. Well, I understand that an entrepreneurship needs to respond to a real need to succeed in the long term. Otherwise, it will fade out. Then I would like to understand, from your perspective, which is the real need behind making toys?
That's a good question. Well, from my personal perspective, I'd say it came to us as an opportunity at the same time that my co-founder and I were becoming fathers. And so it had to us a very personal meaning. It also has everything to do with sustainability for us, because when you talk about physical toys and the high level of consumption that parents and families, grandparents have for their children, it's something that bothers me and my partner. So that being said, in the long term, what we really think we're doing is trying to reimagineer how children will learn, will evolve, and will interact with the outer world, and not being that dependent on digital technologies. Because we really think that what really makes the difference is the interaction with the real world. And if we only build technologies that abolish, that didn't or don't incentivize the children to look to the other people's eyes and build empathy, for example, I don't know what we are developing as future adults. So this is what, I don't know if I answered your question, but I felt in my heart to answer that now, but we can talk later about it if you want.
Okay, Paulo, so my question is easy to think about teaching kids, teaching children with smart toys, even is in the beginning, especially in Brazil. But I'm, as an engineering professor, I'm interested in how to teach young adults or even old adults, because I think it's common for every area, but learn engineering is hard, but teaching engineering is even harder. So what kind of solution that you have, or that you have some solutions in place in your company, or you have future planning on that? So that's my question.
We definitely must talk. If you took a look at that slide, that red slide, where I presented the concept of smart makers. Smart makers at its core is thought to be a community for lifelong active learners. I didn't tell there that it was meant to be focused on children anymore. And once again, it is an amazing challenge to rebuild the adults or the young adults' minds to make them willing, still willing to learn in a compelling, contextualized, based on storytelling, as somebody there said. And this is the kind of challenge that we want to take on. So let's talk about it.
We have a final question up here, then I'm going to ask each member of the panel, I'm going to give them 2 minutes to say a final message for the participants.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Fernando, and I have a question that maybe all of you can answer. When you think about R&D here in Brazil, we see that almost all multinational companies don't have a R&D team here in Brazil. And when you think about the national companies, almost them just work with tech transfer. And with the company that has R&D here in Brazil, such as Braskem, is like moving to United States. Even we have funding agencies here in Brazil, mainly in São Paulo. We, as startups, we see that the biggest companies is not like producing new products and having R&D here in Brazil. So you think that we should keep seeing Brazil as the country of the future, or should we try and start to think to develop a company in other country, developed country?
Very complex. Very complex question. May I start to, yeah. The best way I see to answer your question is like, you know, to try to make a breakdown structure in order to answer some blocks of your question. Yeah. Well, regarding big companies in R&D in Brazil, the way I see is I work in a multinational company, they never thought that could be a good strategy to exit, let's say, Brazil, to do research outside here. We have a research center here with a lot of competences that we do not find in another research center. So we are huge in some competence. So no other strategic decision. I don't see another in order to say, yeah, let's stop research here and then goes to the US, as you said, like Braskem is doing. Braskem is doing something in the US. What I say is they have in Brazil, they keep it, the research here, but they looking for new competences. So such new competence, they do not found it in Brazil, so they have to find in another country. So companies are global today, so where they are doing the research, it's not a matter for them because they are looking for competence. Yeah? And the other thing is regarding funding. Agencies, when looking for the startups. That's it, your question? It's difficult to... Yeah? For me, if your market is here, the closest as you are the customer, the better is the way I see. So in order to interact and avoid errors, like Luciano said, you have to test. You have to develop some products and show to your customer, and they must try it and come back to you with the feedback. This process, as you do it in a very good way, it's you speed up your development, and then you have, maybe you can reach the MVP, or I mean, your minimum valuable product, in order to show a funding agency, or even you can go in some, let's say, technological parks, or in incubators, universities or something, and then you contact the technology transfer office in order to show your technology, or then maybe they could show you some funding opportunities. There is one tool in Brazil. There is the. Did you heard about MEI? Mobilization of innovation companies, or something like that. It's a big movement from the big companies looking for innovation and policies for, in trying to lobby in order to have more innovation opportunities here in Brazil. Yeah, so may have a tool called MEI Tools. There you can find updated information regarding funding lines, and there is a lot of them to start up.
Okay. Thank you very much for questions. We will make a picture after your words. I would ask you to say few words, but with few words with ideas and products for that people think about their group. I mean, just said, okay, do that, or do that in your areas to help us and then to make their group. And then it's up to you guys.
I can start very quickly. And so, digitalization and sustainability. Both of those words are very important to companies. And when I say digitalization, it's very general, and it's related to connectivity, it's related to big data, it's related to artificial intelligence. So digital transformation of the chemical industry will be something that there is a lot of opportunity for you guys. And regarding agro-tech, I still believe that digital farmers will, step change the productivity of this sector in Brazil.
The word I'll give to you, it's time. Time for everything, because you guys need to be realistic about the time. Time takes to develop everything, and be realistic about that. And think about the elderly and how those people you live longer and how to make it better for them, to have a better life, because we're going to be the elderly people pretty soon. So be egoist a little bit, think about ourselves, and make the life of those people better. Pay attention on them, because if you pay attention on them today, you start thinking about yourself a little bit. So if you think about the product, make it simple, think about the time, and think about how to make the life of those people better. Okay?
First of all, I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to all of you for being here in this whole week. Wish you lots of good work, and if good projects at the end of the week appear, I'd be honored and delighted to know about them and maybe bring them to Via Maker, my company. In the education market, I would say think about, for this week, I would say think about game-based learning. This is a pretty interesting trend to look at. I would say think about personalization of the educational experience, mainly, just like Luis said, not only thinking about engineering careers, but education when it comes to achieving your values, being that music, theater, or anything you want to do with your life. So, as you all know, education is pretty standardized today, and we don't properly allow people to do what they dream of. So how can we change the people's courses of lives by changing the way they learn, what they learn, and how they work together to achieve their goals? So these are two things that I'd like to know news from you at the end of this week. Good luck for all of you.
Thank you very much. I think, can we give a round of applause to our three panelists? Thank you. And could I ask you to take some seats here? We'd like to take a group photograph. So I've been told we can't use the external seat here, but if everyone needs to move into this section, if we can try to get everybody seated here.